everyone, this is the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us this week, Ben Moore.
Hey.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And Brandon Jones.
Yeah.
Jones.
And not Ian Hink.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Ian Hink.
Yep, shout out to Ian Hink.
Shout out.
Jones, do you remember Usher's Yeah? Do you remember where you were the first time you heard Usher's Yeah?
I really like that song, actually.
Yeah.
I do. I like it a lot.
It's not a bad song. Do you remember, do you ever have any memories of listening to that song?
Uh-huh.
What?
I just remember, I don't remember, where I was.
Where were you?
When I don't remember where I was.
Were you in college?
It was on the radio, though. No, I don't think that was college. I think I was out.
Okay.
Out in the real world.
So you're out in the real world.
I was somewhere doing business.
You're a young professional.
Yes.
Usher's Yeah comes on the radio, and you're into it.
I'm into it, and I remember thinking at the time, this is not music I normally know exists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I'll see a promo for the Grammys, and there'll be some song. I'm like, I bet that was a big song this year. I just didn't, I'm not out there buying albums. I don't have,
Yeah, it was.
I'm not
everywhere.
on iTunes every day looking for the hot clicks.
Do you think we should do a show where we look at songs and talk about our feelings about them?
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
I need the first episode to be Brandon Jones talking about
Let's play Glinny's and Cauldron instead. This is, of course, where our witch friend Glinny, who is trying to concoct a most vile video game, she trusts us to go shopping for ingredients to throw into her cauldron that will someday become a most vile video game. The ingredients are sold to us by our patrons. We have two options this week. We must pick one. First comes from Stephen Wilbur. The first waterfall you discover has a secret cave, but the following 23 do not. Those are simply waterfalls. Or, from Jordan Brown, there is no way to tell how much time you've played.
A lot of games have that.
Yeah, and it
Or
sucks.
don't have that,
I
rather.
hate
Yeah.
it.
If the first game had an achievement that popped up after you found that said don't go chasing waterfalls, I think that'd be great.
Ben. Yes. I think I'd be bending the rules a little bit because then you would think I can't check the others.
I couldn't let it go. Sorry.
I think the waterfall thing is better, but I have to imagine that there's got to be something better you could do with the whole concept of waterfalls.
Go on. What do you mean?
I wonder if the twisting the knife is they all look like they're literally shaped like there's the beginnings of a hole.
Right.
You
It just
can
dead
kinda
ends
tell.
immediately. It just
Yes.
goes 5 feet in and then stops.
Yeah.
So they all look like there's a tunnel, every single one of them, but there never is.
How about even a spinning shiny thing that you can see through the water that vanishes
once you go in? A
some dumb
mirage of a tunnel?
yes.
Are we allowed to modify? Can we change?
I mean, yeah, there's simply that there's no secret cave behind the other 23, so we can modify for sure.
Oh,
It's
okay,
just
but
an
that first
ingredient.
one has it because that's too much of a gift, I think.
Too much of a
that
gift.
first one, you feel good.
Yes.
And then later you're like, well, this one didn't have it, but that first one was so satisfying. I feel bad even giving them that first one.
No, I think you need to have one there to establish that it could be there. I think that's the whole trick.
You get far enough into the game, you're enjoying it, and then now I'm too far. I have to finish it, but this game's just terrible.
You keep checking. You're
keep
deep
skipping.
in
It
the
actually
game.
needs to be
23.
something really good in that first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there are definitely let's say, I mean, most multiplayer shooters, I guess, don't say total time you've played.
Red Dead doesn't say total time.
That's annoying, dude. Don't you want to know?
Kyle,
I
it
want
is
to know, but
annoying.
it's just commonplace. It's just,
Every time I play a game,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to how long to beat. I'm going to see how long it is.
Yes.
I need to know. But I feel like when I can't know, it's just fighting my own worst impulses. It's like, listen, put it down. You don't need to open the internet browser. You don't need to go to how long to beat. Just play the game. And so I think that can be soothing
good
as
thing.
well as annoying.
I kind of only care for the sake of when people ask me when I'm reviewing something. Yeah. Otherwise, I really don't.
Huh.
I have no idea for some games.
So weird. I take a sense of pride in an RPG, especially. Just oh, here I am, 9 hours in, baby.
I also totally screw that up a lot of the time. I'll just have the game sit around on pause
I do
while I
that
answer
too.
emails
that
and
bugs
stuff.
me.
Oh,
That
yeah.
bugs me.
Yep.
All right, so we got to choose one ingredient. Which one are we picking?
waterfall.
Waterfalls.
Waterfall.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to thank you, Stephen Wilbur. We're going to toss the waterfall, the first one leading to a secret cave, 23 after, and not leading to nothing. And then Jordan Brown, we're going to leave you at your cart, your little wizard cart, with not being able to tell how much time you've played. Here's another thing that we have to talk about. Somebody snuck into Glenny's cauldron.
Again? Oh.
Not Ian. Capcom. What? Yep. Somebody snuck into Glenny's cave, went all the way down the passageways, avoided all the traps, snuck into her cauldron, and took out the ability where if you press start during a cutscene, it automatically skips that cutscene. In Devil May Cry 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
They took it.
Yeah.
They took that from
That's
us.
right. They're getting cocky. That Capcom.
Glenny's mad. She's apparently added more traps, but we've lost that ingredient. We can no longer put that into our vile video game.
Is that agility? You know.
Yeah.
That Capcom has?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even
They're
know
all
who
they're
they
all
sent.
agility now.
They're good. They're
Damn.
good. I have to believe they will patch that. I can't believe pressing start, which in every other game pauses at a cutscene at this point, skips the whole thing. I mean, I guess you can go to gallery and like watch the
What's
video.
funny
later.
is I was just playing Resident Evil 2, and like I had that moment, like, oh, I gotta pause, and I was
Yeah.
like, is it gonna
Yeah.
pause? And there you go. Okay,
And
cool.
it did, yeah. It's fine.
Oh, the pause in RE2, it stops the clock too if you're doing a speed run.
That I love, yes.
That should be on the back of
Thank
the
you.
box. It should be on the PlayStation Store page, the Xbox Store page. Here's what happens when you press start.
Yes.
Yep.
Right, like it shows like how many
yeah,
players you can have.
Are we going to start the Twitter account today, Ben? Does pressing start skip the
No.
cutscene?
No.
It's a good idea. Time
One
for
Twitter
corrections.
account is enough.
Begin corrections music, please. I get Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds confused all the time. Outer Worlds is the RPG, first-person RPG. Outer Wilds, completely different game.
I think I just
Very cool game
screw
now.
it up in my own brain because
Yeah.
I keep in my mind I just refer to it as that new Obsidian game.
Did you
And
make
that's
that?
what
Did you say that incorrectly in my
leads to the
presence and I
problem.
didn't correct you?
Last week, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
then that's more of a correction on me, I think.
Because you're excited about Outer Wilds?
I definitely know the difference.
Here's
Yeah.
the sad
Whenever
thing.
it comes up, I'm like, yes, that's the correct
Yeah,
one.
me and Ian just saw Outer Wilds not that long ago, and we'll have a little
'cause
discussion when we
Annapurna.
get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Nice plug.
Here's the sad thing. If you are Annapurna, if you are the developers of this game, if you Google Outer Wilds, Google asks, did you mean Outer Worlds? And in fact, last week I did.
Wait, and the weird thing, Outer Worlds is probably the better description for their game.
for
Oh,
Outer
for
Wilds.
Outer Wilds?
Yeah.
Maybe they could switch.
Because
It's not
you're
too
flying
late.
around to different planets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there is like there's a lot of wood infrastructure in that game. You know, there's a lot of I get the vibe I'm camping whenever I play. You know, when I played
Just
Outer
the-
Wilds.
the
and so
beginning.
I guess the wilds maybe that's what they
The
mean.
home base.
The kind of steampunkness, I guess, of it.
We were asked if any Pokemon has a sword. Samurott has a sword. Pulls it right out of his leg.
Cool.
Yeah.
Out of his leg. Ouch.
Yeah, it's weird. Dude, I do not like Samurott. That's a bottom tier Pokemon. Force Ghost Anakin, he does wear the same clothes Obi-Wan wears. And so apparently those are commoners' clothes. So Jedi choose to look like commoners.
Wait, Brandon didn't know this?
We had like a weird kind of talk about how...
Wasn't it mostly you saying that?
Yes, it was
there is a scandal. There's a hot take now that Obi-Wan was not wearing Jedi clothes in Episode 4. He was just wearing like just ratted clothes because he was a hermit on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Like that was not like, you know,
Is this,
like
is
a
this
uniform.
what constitutes as a hot take?
And so when they
It's a
did,
cold take now.
So and then you know when
Yeah.
they designed, Lucas got it wrong apparently when
No,
they
he
did
got
the
it right.
prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he got it wrong, but it is an interesting point that like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a Jedi robe, I guess, but
Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, it's a commoner's robe. It's like if you wear the most baseline fashion, that's what you're dressed in.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like that's what Jedi would want to look like. They
Rey
wouldn't
is
want
kind of
laser
wearing
clothes.
a variant of it in 7. You know, like take a towel, wrap it around your waist, and throw something over your shoulder. And,
Yeah, that's
you know.
weird. Luke must have just had that.
Yeah.
Just like I have some extra clothes. This might fit you. NST is not defunct. They worked on Captain Toad, the Captain Toad port.
Oh
for the
yeah, when
3DS
I
and
heard
Switch.
that, it's like, oh, okay, we botched the correction, so it's
Yeah,
gonna come
double
up
botch.
again.
Double botch. Jones, I have a really fun correction for you, sir. Okay, so if you go to gizmodo.com, you can find an article called "Everything You Want to Know About Mork and Mindy." So they have a quote from Bryant Levant, who is the story editor on Happy Days and executive producer of Mork and Mindy's final season. Here's what he said. My first season on Happy Days was when we did the Mork episode. Gary Marshall walked in one morning, all peppy, and he goes, Scotty had a great idea. Scotty was his 8-year-old son. Let's put a spaceman on Happy Days. He walked out of the room.
You could have just said it was Gary Marshall, man. You didn't have to do the
No,
quote.
because here's why, Jones, because I said, I got it. Gary Marshall.
And I shut you down.
looked
I was
at me
wrong.
and you're
I
like,
was
no,
wrong.
that's not it.
Yeah,
that's
I was
not
wrong.
It was Gary Marshall.
But I was trying to remember the name of someone else, and you didn't dig that one up for me. So
Why should I?
Very self-serving correction. The full correction would be, who was I referring to as well?
You were referring to Gary Marshall.
Gosh.
You're referring to the person whose son came up with the idea of putting an astronaut into.
But who did I incorrectly think it was?
Gary Marshall.
No, I mean, who did...
Oh my goodness. End corrections music, please. We have some updates. I love updates. So we were talking just last week, I guess, about the armored Pokemon, about the 4chan rumor. And then, just this last week, Game Freak, Creatures Inc., and Nintendo, the 3 owners of Pokemon, they trademarked Armored Mewtwo.
Oh no.
Baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Armored Mewtwo Baby. And I can't wait to see what this thing's going to be. And so, I mean, what's weird is they're doing a CG remake of the first Pokemon movie. And so I wonder if Armored Mewtwo will show up in that thing. I wonder if that's why they trademarked Armored Mewtwo before anything. But I'm very much leading to believe that Pokemon Sun and Shield will absolutely have armored variants of
Sword and
Pokemon.
When was the last time you saw
Sword and Shield.
the first Pokemon movie?
That would be 1998.
It's been a very long time for me, but I remember, I mean, I was young, but I remember getting pretty emotional at it. I wonder if it would still...
I went with a friend, still cried.
Yeah?
Yeah, he and I cried. His dad took us. We cried. For sure, dude.
Yeah, I wonder if it would still hit me. I should rewatch that.
It's still going to hit you, man.
As a franchise, it keeps kind of reinventing itself and remaking things. Like I know, like this is not the first. Let's Go is not the first time Red and Blue has come back in some other form. Do you think Detective Pikachu is going to like show up in other things now? Like are the movies coming out? Are they going to have to like account for that lore somehow?
He's definitely Jones its own lore, like its
Okay.
own city name. There's very little connecting it directly to games.
Okay. Interesting.
I bet there'll be some kind of cameos though.
Yeah, like why not Smash Bros, right? Like why not I don't know.
I wouldn't want a third Pikachu in Smash Brothers, but
What do you mean? Oh, like its own character?
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be actually Blood. I was thinking it's just a skin, but I really want him as his own character. So like very seldom does the anime ever overlap with the games.
Right.
But there's like this weird point, never saw any of these episodes, and I'm appalled by the idea, where Ash's Greninja kind of like fused with Ash's soul and like grew extra stuff on him that like he absorbed from Ash Ketchum. And then that Ash's version of Greninja showed up in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
Are we in one?
No joke. No joke.
In the anime,
Yes.
Greninja fuses with Ash's soul.
Or something, man.
What do you mean or something?
It's called Ash's Greninja. It's like there's some fusion. There's some fusion that happens.
With his soul?
And Ben, I'm not
Maybe it's like the Fly. Maybe they just get stuck in a transporter.
Blood. It could be. And here's the thing.
I need to see that.
Don't send me a correction on this. I don't want to know. I will skip,
I want to know.
I will
Send me the
skip
correction.
over that correction. I don't want to see it. We also have another update. This is a weird thing. Bunch of rumors flying around. I don't know how these got started, that Bloodworth might be dumb. And so I thought I would give Bloodworth the opportunity once and for all to prove that he is not dumb. Take it away, Blood.
Okay, so this is a weird thing.
Okay.
So when I was in middle school, I think 7th grade, I want to say 7th grade, they had me do this thing where I went to the University of Florida.
The University of Florida, everyone.
And took the PSATs, like the college entrance exams, right?
Sorry, did you say 6th grade?
Yeah, like 6th or 7th grade. And like I did so well on them that I was like better than a like certain percentage of like college bound high school seniors. And then the local newspaper came to my house and wrote an article about me, took my photo. And so if you want the proof, then look up the Braden Herald in the 90s and you can find that at some library somewhere.
There you have it. Yeah. Okay? Rumor's dead.
It's hard to dispute.
That might be the most smug blood thing I've ever heard.
I basked in that. No, that was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
You asked for proof.
How'd you end up
that's what-
doing-
I don't know how else I could
No,
prove.
you crushed it.
Proof enough. How'd you end up doing on the actual SATs?
Pretty well. I mean, I don't remember the numbers. It was like 20 years ago. But
Sure. I could not remember, because this whole controversy about like kids like sneaking into college, I could not remember my actual SAT scores. Jones, you remember yours?
I'm
Dad?
scared to say it because I don't know if that would be low, but a number did pop in my head, but I don't know.
What's the number? What popped in?
1280, I think? Is that like terrible?
That seems good. 1400 was max, I think, in our
I
time.
think I got a 1280.
Ben, how'd you do?
We didn't take the SATs, it was the ACTs.
Oh.
Yes.
yeah, we had an option.
Yeah.
Either one.
Do you remember your score, Blood? You said you don't?
No, I decided.
You put like 1400 probably?
Should we list that on our website? Or,
Yeah.
or ACT,
Everyone
scores?
on their profile.
Yeah.
We ranked the hours by
It's funny because like it really did mean something to us at that point.
Right.
High school students, it's like, man, that's like, that is
course.
how smart I am. ACT's the same, Ben?
it served the same
It was a
purpose.
different
Yeah.
scale, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was a
But-
different scale.
I think SATs, the number is much larger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today?
No,
Oh,
I mean
yeah,
just
that-
like
that
the scale
kind.
of it. Like it goes into the thousands. Where the ACT I think was like maybe 100 or something. I forget.
From what I understand, like SAT is a lot more writing now. Like you don't just do bubbles. Like you have to.
I remember
like,
doing
write-
some writing.
write
I
some
remember
essays.
doing
Yeah.
writing. I
I
feel
had
like
to do essays.
Do y'all
it's a
remember?
bit fuzzy.
Do you remember my favorite way to start a podcast? Besides like 15 minutes of rambling,
Game announcement.
it's a new game announcement. There was a new game announcement that I skipped. Look, I don't cover them all, right? Sometimes a game announcement pops up, and I say, probably not worth it. Probably not worth bringing up on the podcast.
I imagine being like an indie developer and hearing you say that and being like, oh, Kyle. And you mentioned something else. Like, oh, well, great. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kyle.
I bet that happens, man. And it's just like, oh, we didn't make the Easy Eyes podcast. Great. There was a game called Power Rangers Battle for the Grid that was announced in January, a fighting game from a company called N something. Man, I didn't even write the poor developer's name down. I'll get on that. And so I'm like, okay, you made a mobile fighting game for Power Rangers, and now you're coming to consoles. Big whoop. Next, please. So last week, they had a stream. They streamed their game. And, what's up, Ben?
I was just gonna say Justin Wong.
Yes. Well, Ben, this is what the thing. This
Yeah.
is you watch the stream. You're like, oh, Justin Wong is there. Yipes is there. Clockwork is there. I honestly wasn't familiar with until this stream. Looked it up. He is fighting. Clockwork is the combat designer of this game, of this Power Rangers 3v3
That's
fighting
a
game.
cool title.
Yeah, and if you like me didn't know, Clockwork was a professional fighter in Marvel 2 and 3, Marvel versus Capcom 2 and 3, and Ultimate Marvel 3. And so you see these three people streaming this Power Rangers fighting game, and then you realize, oh, this is much better than I thought it was. Did you see the stream, Ben?
I just saw like very, very, very tiny snippets of it. I didn't sit down and watch it.
Yeah, so I want to explain this whole process because I think that there's likely a lot of people who are listening to this podcast who don't care about a Power Rangers fighting game. Like, you're like, why should I care? I'm skipping to the next thing. My finger's on the skip button. I'm ready to go ahead. Let me tell you why. Let me explain all this. But first, let's get to Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. This 3v3 fighting game, just as I said, it's coming this spring to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC for $20 US. So it's like, oh, okay, you're just the mobile port, aren't you? You're just a little marble port. It's not. But an interesting thing about how they price it is it's $40 if you want the game and the season pass, which includes 3 characters, some alt skin, and the arcade story mode, which I think is pretty dang cool. So $20, extremely cheap, digital only. There won't be a physical release of this. For a fighting game with all these characters, you just play online and do things like that. There is cross-play with everything, all those consoles except for the PlayStation 4.
All these characters. When does this take place? Is this the original series? Is this the new movie that they did? Is this
Cross-generational,
like
Jones.
the current season? Like,
Cross-generational. So you have
Okay.
you have Power Rangers from all of the last 20 years. Is it 25? Don't correct me. I don't want to hear it.
Well, how many characters is that? That sounds like a lot.
more than 20.
Oh, sorry, it's not all of them. So it's
Yeah, it's
they're
no
picking
question more than
characters
20.
from the entire timeline. And what's kind of cool is
They're
it's,
all Red Rangers.
there's a couple of Red Rangers. What's cool though is like there's like a graphic novel that a lot of the storyline is based off of, a storyline in which Tommy, the White Ranger, never became good.
Oh.
What if? Ooh. And so it's like it's cool that there's like Lord Darkon is like evil Tommy, and so then there's like also like the Black Ranger's like he's like a stormtrooper. He's got a gun and like he's got like a jacket that's got like the puffs on it. It's like a flak jacket, like a bulletproof jacket. And like the Pink Ranger became like the Ranger Hunter, and she's like evil. And so like it's weird. Like there's this weird alt timeline graphic novel comic books that I was not aware of that they're pulling from that even. So like. Who even cares, right? Who even cares? You're making this mobile game. We all hate it. It's like, it's just rock, paper, scissors. Like, why should I care? And then this stream happens yesterday in which we see 3 people from the fighting game community. We learn that Clockwork is fighting system designer. I'm sorry that I have to read that 3 times.
Combat designer.
Combat designer. Thank you, Jones. And they show off a game that looks grody, for sure. Looks like a little better than a mobile game. But in its actual gameplay, looks outstanding. Looks true to Marvel, to Skullgirls, to Cross Tag Battle. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle,
Yes,
is that the whole
that's-
name?
yep.
Yeah. And the systems in place look like it looks just as good as those other games I just listed off. So it's find this so fascinating that this dumb licensed game turns out to have so much heart into it and so much effort into developing it into a legitimate fighting game.
So it's like GeForce.
A little bit like GeForce, like a developer overachieving. You have a license and then you're actually going for it, trying to make the best game possible for $20 US. Hopefully upselling. Like I kind of want to find out what's going on with Lord Darkon. I'll spend 40, buds. You got me.
Man, I'm of two minds of this, Kyle.
Okay.
I have like my own personal take and then just a general take. Like
I need both takes.
So the personal take, Kyle, is this sounds really cool and intriguing.
Yeah.
But I think to myself, like, man, I haven't even played Videl or Cooler yet in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Oh, man, I was messing around with Negan in Tekken 7. That seems awesome.
Yeah.
I would love, like, if I'm going to go back, if I'm going to spend time with a fighting game, I kind of feel like I've already invested at least a little bit in these other ones. I'd like to play more of them. Mortal Kombat 11 is out next month. I know I'm going to be playing that for sure.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, this seems really cool. I don't know where it's going to fit in my life. Like, yeah, $20 is a great price, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to be able to put enough time into it to matter.
But Ben, that $20 I think is the best counter argument to that whole
Absolutely.
story.
That's
right?
That's a good price for it. Yeah.
Yeah, the $20 is interesting because when you hear that, like my brain almost wants to go like both ways at the same time, where it's like oh, $20, okay, it was a budget game, but then also like how cool that they know what their game is and they know like how much they should expect, especially for a potentially tough community to break into, the fighting community.
Yes.
With something that it sounds like they're like, if you just want to play this because you're like, hi, Power Rangers, sure, I'll just jump in this, goof around, and then move on and never think about it again. I almost wonder if the dev team's like, that's fine, just have a good time. I think streaming something like this that is a licensed product but actually might have gameplay better than you're expecting is like the way to do it. That was very smart of them.
Yeah, the stream sold me.
Go
You're
Twitch.
right, Jones. I was totally not out of it. And then, they popped up on Twitch and they said, it's not a trailer. It's just like, here's our game as it is. We're having some very good players play this game, trying to beat each other and trying to exploit everything they can. And they're having a fun time playing as Power Rangers.
I think that's the angle that I'm thinking at it from, is from a mechanics and fighting game level, because I just don't have any personal attachment to Power Rangers. I haven't checked in with Power Rangers since I was probably 8. And so I don't remember anything about it other than really liking it as a kid.
Yeah.
And the movie was cool.
We have currently 9 characters announced. What I love, another easy, this is genius. If you're developing games and you can just cut I feel like a month out of your budget and maybe more. None of the Power Rangers have faces. So they don't have to deal with eyes. They don't have to deal with mouths. They don't have to deal with getting punched. What would that expression be? They're all just closed mouths. You can't see their eyes. Goldar's there. I wonder if Goldar squints when he gets hit. But otherwise, we have just a bunch of flat faces, and I think that's genius.
Kyle, I feel like this is the perfect Kyle Bossman fighting game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like this hits all the notes for you.
Yeah. I mean, their ultras are they summon their Zords, but you only see one appendage of the Zord at a time. So you just see a tail flop in from the side. You never see any cool Zord just go blah, blah, blah.
Is there a story mode?
Yeah, and that's why you pay $40.
Yeah,
if you want the full edition,
I see.
You want that story mode, you got to spend $40.
Are you going to see that story mode?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
I love fighting game story modes. You sold me out of Dead or Alive actually when you said it's just bad, don't bother. But if same thing with this, if it's just bad, don't bother. But also just that price of entry, that $40 is so appealing to me.
Yeah,
it's so much less than $60 somehow. I don't know how, but it's just there.
So is a Power Rangers fighting game your new favorite way to start a podcast?
Yes. And I hope they announce more because...
or just an update on this. Whenever this comes out and you play it, I'd like an update, please.
What's funny, Jones, they're streaming right now. They could be announcing new characters right at this moment.
I think in 2019, if you have released a trailer for your fighting game and then you don't have gameplay for a couple months later, just wait. Don't show up and have us be talking about the mechanics immediately.
And if you're still disinterested and wondering why we keep talking about this, I want to cover one more thing that I think is really interesting, is the power of the fighting game community, the power of bringing in someone like Clockwork who played professionally this game and putting that person on the development team. I I don't know how many other genres that can work in or has worked in. And so I think that's just truly interesting. I think that it's just such a savvy move, right? This person knows what works in Marvel, knows what works in Skullgirls or whatever, and can apply that to our goofy Power Rangers game. I have the utmost respect for it. I wonder if that individual is just better at this kind of thing, because like otherwise, like no, don't bring in like someone who loves Call of Duty to work on like Call of Duty games in that way. Like you need some expertise. You need a certain level of expertise.
Bouncing off that point, last night I was watching some of the no-clip stuff that they were doing with Mortal Kombat 11, and they were talking about QA, and they actually stressed how important it was to have the people that you were talking about that really could play at a competitive level and knew what they were doing, but also on the QA team had people that were just total scrubs, and they balancing those two perspectives and not just getting tunnel visioned on is this only good for newcomers or only good for competitive people, and having those two like people giving reports to the team, I thought was really interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think driving games is another one where, you know, if you have some of those high level people that they can give you a lot of feedback.
Feedback, yes, like EA's Game Changers, right? But like nobody is a fan and going straight to designing how the car feels in a Forza game, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, you've got a pretty high level understanding of physics and all that. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what's really interesting about this project in itself, and I just hope this kind of thing continues.
Blood, when you had those stories written about you in the paper, did any people come and ask if you wanted a position at their company?
No.
Okay.
They didn't ask if you want to like design the PSATs, like help us write questions.
Okay.
Because that would be it, right? Like if there's somebody who's like that good, just
That's
like,
it.
man, you should be writing these questions.
He gets it. You're
so good. In most cases, I think
I
developers.
think I did get to name drop Final Fantasy IV. I can't remember for sure.
In the interview?
Yeah.
Did you call it Final
This
Fantasy
keeps
2
getting
or Final
better and
Fantasy
better.
4?
It would have been Final Fantasy II at the time. Yeah, I wouldn't have known.
Oh, it's hard to move away from that story.
I refuse to. So someone asked, like, how'd you get so smart? How'd you get so good at reading and writing?
No, I think it was just like, it was like bio kind of stuff. What do you do?
Oh, so they wanted you to say, like, I like bugs and trees, but you're just like, I like Final Fantasy 2. I like video games. Yeah, but what's unique and quirky about you? You're like, I love this Super Nintendo, buds. I don't have a little encyclopedia that I go read every night. Love that, Blood. Okay, we had some stuff just plop on our laps. Moments before this podcast, Bloodworth walks in and says, did you hear the Xbox announcements? We got some. What's it called? Xbox?
Inside Xbox?
Inside Xbox, thank you, is the name of their show, and this is where they make their big announcements. Blood, what do we hear today? What interests you most?
I think Halo Master Chief Collection coming to PC.
That interests you most?
Yeah,
How come?
I think, well, for one, it's kind of funny because like Halo originally was on PC a long time ago, and but the old games for Windows and all that stuff has faded away. But yeah, I think that it's been an oddly underserved audience for Microsoft. Like they've got this huge Windows install base, and they haven't been putting Halo games out on it. It's kind of a weird thing.
Did 2 ever make it to PC?
Yeah, it was Windows Vista.
Okay.
That was a big
Vista.
thing they were pushing.
Yes, you're so right,
with
Ben.
Halo 2, yeah.
Then 3 did not, and then
Correct.
anything after that totally did not.
Well, they had that weird thing with Halo 5 where they put Forge
Yes.
on PC.
Mm-hmm.
So they,
Just
moving
Forge,
in,
though, right?
Yeah, I think so. I did not mess around with that. I just if I remember correctly, that's what it is.
Yeah. And so the time has finally come. So, Blood, what my assumption would be, Master Chief Collection coming to PC. I got to get it off the Windows Store?
Oh, you can get it on Steam too.
What? So Microsoft is releasing their biggest franchise, no question, hands down, on Steam,
Yeah.
owned by Valve. No, okay, wow. Well, that's something.
That's a shift.
So, Bloodworth, you're telling me that sometime before the end of the year, I assume there's a release date.
You were looking more deeply into the article. I was looking at the other
There's
article.
no release date.
Okay.
You're telling me before the end of the year that I'm going to be able to play all of the Halo games all at once on Steam, just download it one big bundle.
Question.
Huh.
For the big Steam Christmas winter sale,
Yeah.
will Halo be on sale on Steam?
Ooh,
That's
great.
not a
Oh.
question. That's not
No
a
question,
That's
you're right.
happening.
Yeah, no
That's
question.
no, that's a bet.
Yeah.
we have a
it's a
word.
question.
We have a word for that.
It's a question.
All right, I guess like the bet is, will it be cheaper on one store over the other if they're selling it on both the Windows Store and Steam?
Oh, I think so. I think those marketplaces can do their own sales and.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
I'll say it's cheaper.
If it's a sale, yes.
I will say then on December 24th, it will be cheaper on Steam than the Windows Store.
I agree.
Will Master Chief be wearing a Santa hat on the store?
They use it. It's like, I think this is a big release. But what I was goading Bloodworth to tell us is that it's not coming all at once on PC.
Right. That's weird.
So it's coming title by title, chunk by chunk. So when you buy the Master Chief Collection on PC, you're just getting Halo Reach when it first launches.
Why?
Their reasoning, Ben, that's a great question. They want to make sure this goes perfectly, which is fair, right?
That's what I'll give them. Yeah, that's like
Yes.
the only excuse I think that makes
Yeah.
sense.
They want to make it. They want to do it one at a time, so they don't have the old Master Chief Collection
Yeah.
of 2014, maybe 2015 happen again, where everything all came at once and it
Yeah.
was just too much to juggle, and it's like we don't even know where to start. So here they're just on PC at least. They're doing one game at a time, chunk by chunk by chunk.
So Reach is the first one they're doing.
And Reach is the first one.
That's
they're
a
doing.
good pick.
And that pick is because, Ben, Reach is not part of the Xbox One Master Chief Collection yet. So that's part 2 of the announcement is, hey, Reach is coming. The weird way that they're doing Reach is that Forge mode and Theater mode, hey, you're getting those. If you have Master Chief Collection, that's for free, bud. But if you want single player or multiplayer, that's an add-on expense onto your purchase of Master Chief Collection.
Do we know how much?
We do not.
I think out of all, if you gave me all the Halo games right now and
Yeah.
said play one, I think I would pick Reach. So
And
that's,
then what would
that's-
you pay for it?
Whatever. I don't pay too
Ben
much
doesn't
money.
care
fair
about
question.
cost.
Fair answer. What price should Microsoft put on that?
What should they?
Yeah, on an add-on to Master Chief Collection. What price?
As an
should it
add-on
be?
to Master Chief Collection,
Yeah.
$10.
Really?
10 to 15.
That seems cheap. I would go almost 20, I think, for Reach.
I had
That's a
20 in there,
perfect
but
Ben
if,
answer.
but
I know. I hope you're not
buy
getting
that.
swindled, Ben. You know.
Whatever.
I hope somebody comes up with a new card game and you're like, "Do you want my arm? What is the?" And they're like, "I'll take your arm, sure."
the only person that swindles me is myself.
Ben, the hardest one, the one that hit me the hardest was Left Alive last week.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
You're like,
gosh.
Can I tell this story?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so we were wondering if we were going to get Left Alive code, which
Yeah.
is
Which is unusual for Square Enix. We usually
Yeah.
get their stuff well ahead of time.
Yeah.
yeah. And I have this conversation with Blood. And I was like, hey, Blood, did we get that code? And he said, no, I haven't heard anything yet. I was like, okay, well, there's no rush. I won't be able to play it right away anyway. So not a big deal. And then the day after or 2 days after?
The day after, I think,
Okay,
yeah.
then the day after it comes out, he's like, sent Left Alive code to Ben Moore. And I was like, Blood, I already bought it. Yeah, I can't justify that decision.
Did you even start it?
I did start it. I did start it. I
Okay.
played like maybe 2 hours of it.
How'd
I
those
don't
2
know for
hours
sure.
feel?
What's that?
How'd those 2 hours feel?
Bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad game. But I want to. Here's what I want to say about Left Alive. To the audience, no one should buy that. Don't be me. Don't buy
Yes,
that game.
don't be Ben.
Yeah, don't be me. I'm really happy that I spent that money because it was bad in a very entertaining way.
Yeah.
It was like watching a car burning on the side of the road, and I was tickled by it. Like, it was a good 2 hours.
I do, Ben. I think that, and I think it makes like
Yeah.
the other purchases sweeter.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do not regret my decision.
So here's I'm sorry, this is the Xbox language. I wonder if I got this wrong. So Halo Reach will be playable in 4K HDR and at 60 frames per second. It will also automatically include its multiplayer Forge and Theater modes. Multiplayer lower caps, Forge and Theater capitalized. So does that mean it will have multiplayer? It says both its campaign and firefight components will be available as add-ons for an additional price.
Oh, so you'll get Halo Reach multiplayer, which kind of makes sense the way Master Chief Collection works.
Yes, because it ties
But
them all together. right?
Firefight, you have
Yes.
to pay extra for.
And firefight is like the horde mode.
Basically.
Wait,
yeah.
so you gotta pay for Reach and then you gotta pay for Firefight on top of that?
No. Multiplayer, Forge, and Theater.
Yes.
If you own Master Chief Collection, you get that
You
stuff.
get those
Gotcha.
things. They're gonna
Okay.
add
If you
those to your
want
playlist.
Firefight and Campaign,
Thank
you
you.
got to buy it.
Yes.
I am down for some Firefight. It's been a long time. Firefight is fun.
Is it still fun?
I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
find out.
We'll find out soon enough. The other big announcement that doesn't seem like we're just like trying to find like what's the news here is that xCloud is still coming.
Oh, not just that it's still coming, but Yeah, they did a demo of it. We didn't get to watch the demo because it was like right before this, but
Oh, and inside Xbox, they had a demo of it working. It works.
And they kind of reconfirmed that they're going to have public trials later this year, and they talked a lot of fluff about, the future of gaming and stuff like that, where they didn't really say anything.
Yes. They did. I guess they continued to say that, hey, we're looking into streaming. This is not. We're still going to build big, beefy consoles.
Right. Yeah. This
We're-
is not to replace consoles.
Yes.
This is to add on to allow you to. I mean, it's kind of similar to what how PlayStation 4 just added the iPhone remote play.
Man, I wonder if we should cover this. Because I was away this
I don't
weekend.
know that
tried
much
it.
about it. I've just seen people messing around with it.
What? I don't even know what this is.
So there's an iOS app now that you can do. You can stream your PlayStation 4 to your iPhone or iPad, presumably,
And play video games there?
Yeah.
and play your very PS4. So
With the touchscreen?
Yeah.
so I was able to turn on my PS4 from states away, and it did not run very well. Maybe that was the Wi-Fi. Who knows? But
What did you play?
I tried to play an RPG called Metal Max Xeno because I'm like, it's turn-based.
Oh, sure.
This will be fine.
That makes sense.
And it was still just like, I was like, okay, novel, but I'm okay. I'm good. Maybe I could have gone to the store and bought something, but you could also do that. But anyway, like presumably, if you have good internet, that's a cool feature. Yeah, you're right, Blood. How weird that all of these things converge on top of each other.
Sure.
Because of course, we should probably also talk about Google, who today just did a little tweet.
Little tease.
Little tease about like we're traveling first person through like caves with mushrooms and like some aircraft we're gonna jump out of, and there's like, hey, we know what the true future of gaming is. Watch our thing 1 week from now, which we'll record our podcast like almost right after that. That is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah. And then I think the xCloud or something related to it presentation from Xbox is going to be at GDC, and I'll be there. I'll be in that panel as long as the line doesn't fill up too quickly. And
You're gonna be there in person.
yeah.
Cool. I hope you get some hands-on stuff, dude.
Yeah, I hope so too. Although that's not generally how GDC stuff works. But
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
It's more of like listen and learn.
Yeah, and for a session. So like they'll have their booth or whatever where they're going to show off mostly indie games, but I don't think that xCloud will be part of that.
Tell me, we've been bouncing back and forth on this as a podcast. Do you think that they will show a Switch running Xbox games?
Oh, I think it's not out of the
Xbox
question.
games.
I don't know if I wouldn't say for sure.
Oh,
but
commit,
I think
Blood, commit.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think, man? Are you gonna see that
Especially
next
with
week?
the Steam announcement, there's just so many signs from Microsoft that
Yeah.
they're like, we want to be on everything.
Yeah.
We want.
Yeah.
I think it's not happening next week. That's my impulse. Jones,
can see that.
He nods
Nervously
for
nodding.
listeners. Yeah, he nervously nods. Ben?
I don't think it's happening. Actually.
Ben does not think it's happening. Bloodworth doesn't think it's happening. He's
No.
gonna be bored out of his
Not
skull.
gonna commit.
Just watches some xCloud stuff, just like it's running on your phone. You're like, I know. What else? Though I guess the huge difference between what PlayStation streaming to your phone does is I'm using my own PlayStation 4. xCloud is using the Xbox servers to
Right.
play any game.
Exactly.
So
And I think, even though we don't really know what this Google thing is either, I think it's essentially going to be competing with that. I think it's not going to be a box that you hook up anywhere. I think it's going to be something that just can go to anything that has a screen on it.
Every time somebody uses the service, it's just going to consume a copy of Crackdown 3. Like it's just going to summon it from someone's hard drive or take a disc and
chew it up,
chew
baby.
it up.
Get those numbers up. Where's the Crackdown 3 numbers? That's them. Something's wrong here. Yeah, I mean, we'll. I don't like to guess too much about a thing that's happening a week from now, but it is interesting that all this stuff is happening. GDC will hopefully have more news upon us, but yeah, it's kind of exciting to see what Google could possibly bring. Do we think they have software?
I really hope that they kind of start talking about the future of gaming and how they're going to change things, and their big tentpole game is a 3D pet platformer starring an animal. That's what I want. That is what I want.
Ooh, that sings to me, dude.
Yes.
I want him to somehow we've got Assassin's Creed, and then it ended up being something like Assassin's Creed Unity. It's just this is the thing that everyone wants, right? And no, you're a little behind there.
Well, I mean, we're stating though that shoot, what's the Greek one that just came out?
Odyssey, yeah.
Odyssey, I mean, they had that running. You could play that.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
through Google Streaming. You could play that on your laptop. You could play through Odyssey. So obviously they're at that level and they're feeling confident enough to keep going forward with that plan. And I expect whatever Google's having to happen before the end
They
of the
should
year.
have made a video, man. If they had just done an announcement and say, hey, tune in, here's the day, but they like made a video that has like custom graphics. And it's just like, oh no. Now I'm like, you did it. You got me a little more excited
Expectations
for
are high,
this.
right? Yeah.
But, if you don't have new IP at this or you don't have some exclusive thing, then don't make the video that you just made.
I think they have a game, Jones. Like just
Feels
because
like
of,
it, but-
like what Epic's been able to steal from Steam, basically.
Yeah.
Like I think that clearly, if you show a game developer some money, they'll say, yeah, okay.
How
we're
scary
with
to
you.
be that developer, though, because you have no idea, like, what if it's going to be successful, what everyone's perception of it is going to
but
be, if
with
it's going to
Google,
work
dude?
well, like, ugh.
I'd feel okay signing with Google, basically.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? I mean,
Depending on how exclusive it is, if you're
Yeah.
just giving this whole IP away,
and a dumb thing happened this
Zero
week
control.
where somebody's render based off of Google's trademark for the controller
Right,
they
right,
put
right.
out, just like, this is the Google controller. It's like, no, it's not. That's not it. But yeah, I mean, like, Google could embarrass themselves next week as well. I could see that happening. Like, this is what our controller looks like. We love
And
you
sometimes,
gamers. Yeah.
like, there's no way to know until after launch, right? Because Amazon made a big stink about entering the gaming space,
Mm-hmm.
coming out with their own console, and having all these studios and all of this, and hired some good people even.
Yeah.
And
I think they
It
still
just
have double
doesn't-
helix.
yeah, like it just doesn't feel like anyone cares, and like all of their games is just sort of like, essentially iPad ports in a way, or like at the level of an iPad game.
Yeah. That is, you know what? It could easily be that way too. Go ahead.
It would be nice though if somebody could recreate the feeling of Halo kind of coming onto the scene and disrupting everything.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if that is possible anymore in that way, but it was really exciting. It felt like everything was changing. To me, at least in that moment, like, hey, no, this is serious. Microsoft is
There's
making
that weird
video
Atari
games.
out there somewhere too, right? That new Atari console that we haven't.
Oh, I'm
heard much
ignoring
about.
that.
Yeah.
That to me is just like some millionaire who locked down some rights that he shouldn't have. But to me, Google's weird. Google is not about. Google is about peddling information, right? Like, all of Google's products are just there to get information from us
Yeah.
that it can sell to others. It's just like Google in the gaming spaces. I just wonder what information they want from us.
Right. Well, that's the other thing I'm actually very curious about is how they're going to sell it.
Yes.
Are they going to sell you a box? Are they going to sell you a USB stick? Are they going to sell you a service like Netflix? Or are they just going to throw a bunch of ads at you and just like, hey, play it for free?
Yeah.
And like you think about that, it's like, oh, I can play Rainbow Six Siege for free? Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
Yeah. And it's like, how long do you stare at the man? How long do you stare at the woman? Like how many hours do you put into this game? How many hours do you put into that game? Like, I feel like it's just gathering data. This stuff freaks me out, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess all consoles are doing that at this point. Even Nintendo. Like, we find that female gamers love to name their Animal Crossing characters this. It's like, how do you know? How do you know? Did you all hear that? Sounds like it's podcast halftime.
The following are the official sponsors of Easy Allies for the month of March. Fan Gamer, makers of officially licensed merchandise for games like Dark Souls, Hollow Knight, Undertale, Katamari Damacy, and Persona 5. Not to mention Easy Allies t-shirts. Their newest products include the Hollow Knight Collector's Edition for Switch, PS4, and PC, a Prince and Katamari magnetic plush, and a Metaton EX posable figurine from Undertale. Check out their store at fangamer.com. El Fanis. Hogue Law Business Law Firm. Whether you're starting a business at level 1, stuck fighting the dreaded fundraising boss, or finally cashing out with a well-earned high score, you need a good business lawyer at your side. And now, that good business lawyer has a YouTube and podcast series, Virtual Legality. This week in Virtual Legality, Hogue discusses the difficult choices put before Steam when certain games try to push its boundaries, Amy Hennig's fascinating take on the future organization of the industry, and a spoiler-filled post-mortem analysis of what works and doesn't work in the latest addition to the MCU, Captain Marvel. Check it all out at youtube.com/HOEG Law or at major podcast locations. The Hashcast, a weekly podcast by the Hashtagonist that aims to highlight the people behind the products and content that brings us joy. Every week, professionals from the gaming, movie, and tech industry share their stories to provide you with some unique insight on their careers, their passions, and why they love doing what they do. Whether you have an interest in game development, animation, or just want to hear all about how Able Gamers is making the world a better place, the Hashcast has an episode for you. Check out the latest episode with Brittany Johnson, known for her roles as Angel in Borderlands and Nona in Oxenfree. This episode digs into her multifaceted career as an actress, on-screen talent, and business mogul. If you want to see more of the Allies, check out the episodes with Brandon Ian or a very spooky episode with Amanda Troop. Sweet Justice, a sound design company from the southern shores of the UK. They've worked on some of the biggest AAA titles, the most refreshing indie titles, and collaborated with the best development teams in the world. The Able Gamers Foundation, a nonprofit charity that aims to improve the overall quality of life for those with disabilities through the power of video games, creating opportunities that enable play in order to combat social isolation, foster inclusive communities, and improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. The link to donate is in the description. iKeyless.com is now Car Keys Express. Check them out at carkeysexpress.com/store. They continue to offer replacement car keys for less than the dealership and remain proud sponsors of Easy Allies. Use the coupon code EZA at checkout for free shipping and 10% off of your order. Mango. And our mega sponsor, Riverhorse. Our friends over at Riverhorse can teach you the ways of the Now platform. You can get started with the ServiceNow Fundamentals course that Riverhorse teaches on a regular basis. This 3-day interactive training class is where you'll learn about the ServiceNow user interface, the database schema, security access, and all the configuration techniques to tailor the Now platform for your company. With Riverhorse, you'll learn to master ServiceNow capabilities through hands-on, real-world instruction. As an authorized training partner, our education advisors are able to teach over 12 official classes. We'll also be at the Knowledge Conference in Vegas from May 5th to the 9th. Riverhorse will be teaching in the pre-conference training and hosting events throughout the week. If any of the allies will be in attendance, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or email so that you can join us at our company events and get some free swag. We are proud to support the Easy Allies and look forward to supporting all allies that work in the IT industry. Look us up at www.river-horse.com. All of these links are available in the description. Thank you to our sponsors. Able Gamers is not an official sponsor, but somewhat a lovely sponsor. Gave a shout out to
I
Able
still
Gamers.
Consider them official.
Of course, yeah, Able Gamers is a friend for sure.
I'm sorry, hon. I'm going to be at the Knowledge Conference. I got to go to the Knowledge Conference in Vegas.
Yeah,
hon.
but if you're so smart, are you going to the Knowledge
Are you
Conference?
going to? Yeah, are you there?
No.
What is
The
speaking?
keynote speaker? Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I thought of 2 corrections in the midst of podcast halftime.
Corrections for this very episode.
For this very
Oh,
episode.
wow.
Devil May Cry 5 is on my fantasy team. I said it was on Ian's incorrectly.
Oh,
Ooh.
last week.
Yeah.
Of course you correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's some points, baby. That's a well-reviewed game. And then, the other one is like follow-up in regards to we asked last week. I asked the audience, I asked Huber, like if we should not talk about THQ Nordic anymore on this podcast. And generally, like I read what you said. Bloodworth and I had a discussion. It's like we'll still talk about THQ Nordic, right? Like we had the conversation about what was done, but like it's up to you, the listener, to like make your own judgment on those things. And like you can skip ahead if we're talking about those things, but we will continue to talk about Biomutant on this very podcast.
I hope so.
You hope so?
I'm excited about Biomutant.
Yeah. So that's a policy going forward. Thank you to the pleasant responses.
That little mutant didn't do anything wrong. Just trying to save the world.
That little mutant is up to some
backflips.
trouble, buddy.
He's a little mischievous guy.
Yes, that is a mischievous little mutant.
He's probably evolved somehow.
Hey, I don't know if y'all realize this. There's VR on the Nintendo Switch coming.
Oh
in.
yeah.
Can you
Yep.
believe that? This should have been the biggest announcement of the week. But the implementation is, of course, through Nintendo Labo. Nintendo announced last week, pretty much just sent out a tweet, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, everybody, we're doing VR. Check out this Labo kit coming out next month.
It really kind of felt like that, huh?
Yeah, it was so strange. What a strange announcement. And so basically, if I can explain it to everybody, There are like goggles. I think everybody has seen cardboard VR, right? Where
Right.
you just
Sure.
slide your cell phone into
The
it.
Samsung kind of has a thing like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that. It is.
10 years ago, did you imagine yourself saying this statement on this podcast? Everyone knows about cardboard VR.
I guess I wouldn't have. Yeah, it is strange.
Way past that.
And I mean, Nintendo had been clearly looking at it. I think they had some VR patent for the Switch. And I'm like, nah, dudes, you're not going to try it. Maybe your screen is too blocky and bad, but they're going for it. And so, yeah, it is. It's a cardboard VR. There's a base kit that is $40 US. That is, you have your VR headset, and then you also put a gun in front of your face. And so basically you're looking into the back end of a bazooka and just kind of looking around. I mean, like,
That is how I have a hard time picturing. I didn't look into the details.
okay, so what is the Super Nintendo bazooka called?
Super
Scope, yeah.
So imagine like the Super Scope, and instead of over your shoulder, you just put it in front of your face. And so whenever you're playing,
You're gonna destroy something with that.
yeah, you absolutely will. And here's the stranger thing is that there's no trailer for what that game is. We just see a person doing it, but we
Right.
don't know what they're actually shooting at in there. We have no idea.
Can I offer you some headcanon?
Please.
So between this,
That is a headcanon.
And-
What do you mean?
Oh my goodness.
that's where the podcast should end.
And somebody dared to call you dumb, Bloodworth? That's piece number 2. Go ahead, Ben.
I don't even think. I think what what is driving them forward, why they make so many decisions, is just to see the reaction. I think it is driven by spite, but not like a mean-spirited spite.
Yeah.
It's just like they get bombarded with all this stuff. Like, you guys gonna do our VR? Like, wait till they see this.
You're right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm going to prom, but I'm wearing a trash can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Yes, that's exactly it.
That is what they're doing. So you can spend $80 for the entire VR Labo kit. That will include a camera add-on, so you're staring into a camera. They show you looking at fish. Again, they're not showing gameplay. They show an image of a person with the camera and then fish floating in front of them, and it's left to be implied what they're looking at. You remember that? Remember Batman Returns? And then everybody's watching that VR fish thing that Jim Carrey made?
That's Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. And then so like Jim Carrey made this VR fish thing, and everybody's just like getting brainwashed by looking at VR fish.
I actually do remember this.
Yeah.
I think it's specifically his boss that gets the fish. I think they're all watching different things in VR.
I have a distinct memory of
I
a
think it's-
family sitting down in front of their couch watching. I guess we should call it AR fish. They're fish
When he
coming
does
out
it
of
to
the
his
screen.
boss
okay.
with the mustache, whose name I cannot remember, he's definitely fishing. He's definitely
Okay.
like, "Whoa," you know,
Yeah.
like-
So anyway, that's reality now.
but it's a Switch, right? All of these devices, you put your Switch in,
Yeah,
the Switch
yeah.
is the
Switch there.
screen.
Yeah.
And that is portable, but not light.
Right.
I mean, like, the new Oculus is just dreamy how light it is. And, like, the Samsung VR, like, your phone's not intentionally not super heavy. That Switch is on your
These
head.
are all things you're
your
holding.
neck, holding the Switch up?
There's
Like,
Jones. There's no strap or anything that goes around your head. You're holding it up in front of your face.
Oh, that's no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Um,
Nope.
Also is elephant, bird, and wind pedal. Elephant's the most interesting because I had to explain this. Okay, so one of the Joy-Cons of the Nintendo Switch has an IR sensor, right?
Yeah.
And way a lot of the Labo things work is that IR sensor looks at points that are white, and then it senses where it is in direction to those things because it knows where it is in relation to the white dots, whatever. So the Elephant Kit is a VR headset with a big dumb face that covers your face, resembling an elephant and its 2 large ears, and then a little robotic arm that resembles an elephant's trunk. And so basically the Joy-Con is at the end of the trunk looking at in the elephant's face with the white dots where it is in relation to the elephant's face. And that is Nintendo's VR workaround to create a paintbrush in 3D space. You have to
Wow.
look like an elephant.
But you're holding this up?
You're holding it up too. You're holding up the elephant. One arm for the brush, one arm to hold up your elephant face.
And you're a child doing this?
I'm an adult.
Are adults in the marketing?
No.
Like, I haven't seen a lot
It
of that
is all
stuff.
kids. It is all kids
Yeah,
with
see, that's
shorts.
I
Yeah.
think almost at every single turn they're trying to play this down as much as possible.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the whole Labo aesthetic, where it's just like, we'll see how this goes, you know, which is probably the best way to do it.
Am I the only one who is going to buy the $40 blaster kit? Am I the only one in for
Yeah,
this?
I would say so.
Okay, Ben?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jones?
I know.
Oh, I'm not. I didn't buy Labo. I'm not.
I
no.
did buy Labo. That's why I'm.
What'd you buy? Which one?
I bought the pack that had like
Yeah.
the piano, the fishing rod,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
the motorbike.
The variety kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did 2 of them.
I have the
It
view.
was fun, but yeah.
I
Yeah,
bought-
I mean,
I'm
I think
good.
the biggest
I'm good.
criticism against Labo is that there's just not any further way to apply those things.
So the vehicle kit apparently is like a game. There's a whole game in there.
there is a game.
I
There
bought
is
that?
software that comes with them, but
Yeah.
beyond that, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can use the steering wheel for Mario Kart if you would so choose. It's still in its Amazon box. I haven't even taken that thing out of the Amazon box yet. Someday.
The novelty wore off very quickly.
Yeah. I think it's cool. As Ben said, it's, I mean, like, and Jones too, it's kind of experimentation, right? It's
Yeah.
like a low cost attempt to see if there's an audience for VR with Switch. And so maybe whatever next generation is, they're like, oh, we have proof right now. We gathered the data, Google-esque, and then like we know that people do not want VR. We won't look at that any further.
I really want them to have this mega. You're going to be able to play Xbox games on Switch, but you can only play Halo as the elephant. That's it. That's the only way that it works.
You must. You must. Yeah, I'm looking at these images again.
It's the game of the year.
Yeah.
That's the.
Every kid is holding they're holding it right up to their dumb faces. You poor kids. What is a wind pedal? They don't even say like, what this is what the wind pedal does for you.
Kyle, based on your description, so the tagline that you're looking at on this page is simple, friendly and fun.
Yeah.
This did not sound simple.
Doesn't sound fun.
No.
Friendly? I get it. Looks a little friendly, except for that elephant face. A little
1 out
creepy.
of 3.
All right, so I mean, we covered it. Hey, Labo, we covered you. We'll see if anything comes of it. Last thing I want to cover news-wise this week is about E3 2019. EA recently announced their annual EA Play event that usually runs in conjunction with E3,
Well, slightly ahead of E3.
slightly ahead of E3, but also during.
That's why.
Also, you could like walk up and go to it.
Yeah.
Is different this year. First of all, no E3 press conference on
Right.
Sunday. They did Saturday last year.
Saturday,
They did
yeah.
Saturday last year.
They're having some kind of kickoff on Friday night, I think. I think they shifted everything a little bit
They
back.
did.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the second half of this. No press conference. Also, their entire event runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to be done before E3 even starts.
Mm-hmm.
You will not be able to go to E3 and then walk around and go play some EA games. They're going to be
I
done.
mean, the past couple of years, you really couldn't anyways.
Because they're at the Palladium and that's too far away.
It's way too far away.
Got
yeah.
it.
I mean, you're going to hop on a train and wait for like 30, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. No press conference, no big announcements. What they decided to do instead, you know what? I should pick their own words because it's kind of fun. Okay. It all starts this year on Friday night, June 7th, 2019, with an all-new EA Play kickoff event. Oh, a press conference? We're skipping the press conference this year and are replacing it with multiple live streams that will air during the first 2 days of the event, bringing you more of what you've told us you want, more gameplay, and insights from the teams making the games. Weekends are meant for play. And so then they go on to explain that they're done. They're wrapping as Sunday night.
Which is like a terrible idea. It's kind of fun to just
Jones, it's
really
kind
go,
of fun.
go straight to the horse's mouth, get these devs to introduce their own games and get extended time to
This is
talk
what
about
Sony's been
them.
talking about.
Maybe this isn't fair, but this just reads to me like we're talking about updates to games that are already out.
No way, dude. What about Respawn's Star Wars?
Okay, I'm saying there's going to be a little bit of that. There's going to be a little bit of
Yeah,
that.
when does that drop and how?
Yeah.
You know, like, is that
Right.
just a video or is that the first thing they're going to talk about?
Oh, that
or-
is the first, dude. We're gonna have an hour. Look, so my
I hope that's not true.
my big question to this panel. It won't be entirely relevant to the people at home, but I think it's an interesting question about this. What do we do with this? How do we cover this? Do we come into the studio and react to these hours-long streams of them playing games, or do we just let that happen on its own? And like,
Yeah, I don't think that we would unless something about that kickoff says, hey, we're going to have
Star
an
Wars.
overview of what to expect this weekend. And then, okay, that's basically your press conference, even if that's not what you're calling it. But if it's like the Treehouse streams that Nintendo does, and that's all they're doing, then yeah, it'd probably be weird to try to sit around and react to that stuff.
yeah.
What I think would be useful, what I would want as an audience member is to let that play out, and then we come and say, okay, here's what was interesting about that. Here's this one moment in this game that looked cool. Just really truncate it for people. Take these days and explain it in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have huge views on these things. They're going to own Friday and Saturday. Sunday, they're not even streaming.
That's called E3 hunger.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call the E3 hunger.
Yeah, just like how when we did do the press conferences, we always rated them higher than they should have, just because it's it's E3, that was okay.
You're right. You're so right.
And then we get to the other press conferences, it's like, EA wasn't really.
So, Jones, you said it's smart. Is it the right call? Is it the right call for EA not to do a press conference this year?
I mean, we're not going to know until we see what they do, because I think a right call in terms of announcements that haven't happened yet, updates that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's on their plate. You'd like to think that Sony's making the right call by backing out of E3 and doing their own things, but we're not going to know until that PS5 gets announced. We're not going to know until the next time we see Ghost of Tsushima, and when that's going to happen, in what form. Is it going to get its own event, or are you going to have another PSX kind of thing and then attach it to that? But it's interesting with EA, because this isn't met with a venue change. They're going to be in the same place, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So they have that theater already, and it's interesting they're not going to use it, or they're going to use it because basically what they're doing is just the EA Play without that initial press conference. They did do that. You could go there and get demos for games, and they did have kind of deep dives into each game following that.
Is this going to have a host, or is it just going to be the different groups?
They haven't said anything about a host.
I feel like what's implied, though, is that it'll be hosted by developers.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they said you want insights from the developers themselves.
I wonder if Keighley moved the needle on this at all with the Coliseum, because it sounds like the Coliseum, basically.
Coliseum is in conjunction with E3. Keeley's crying. He's not happy about this.
Oh, no, I'm not saying Keeley's happy about it. I'm just saying
okay.
I wonder if he
I don't think it sounds like a Coliseum
he and
so much.
Nintendo have kind of laid this blueprint for.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about for E3. What's the bigger win? Do you want people tuning in for that hour and then talking about you for half of the day, or do you want people tuning in all day, all week?
You do. You want
because it's like we made fun of Inside Xbox a couple times for them having sweet DMC footage kind of wedged in between just an hour and 40 minutes of but did they win? Because I watched for those 2 hours.
Yes.
We all tuned in. And so are we going into that era of having to just needle in a haystack, just watch these massive things because they know sometimes it's like radios when they do giveaways. Sometime in the next 3 hours, we're going to play this song, so tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I think is funny is, so obviously I think the lesson, to me, the lesson that EA is taking is from Treehouse Live and Nintendo doing that, but they're not doing it with a matching direct style, at least from what we see so far.
Right.
Direct style presentation, which I think is what EA really, really needs, because their press conferences, the problem is that they just drag on, and they include a lot of things that only part of their audience cares about.
They stand up on stage and act like they're doing us the biggest favor in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right, Blood. Is that there is an audience who is curious about what's happening in FIFA this year.
Yeah, where are you going to be emotionally, though, when they're they have the big montage with Anthem and Star Wars and everything, get Madden, EA, and they're so anyway, The Sims, and you're
yeah.
Do I stop watching? This year this could be Star Wars in 20
totally
minutes.
Do. And this year you totally do. It's
if they have a full schedule out ahead of time,
on
and
Friday, there's nothing else really to tune into.
Yeah, I love that. You're right. I kind of like this.
I wonder if by going all day, how hard do they push, and you can pre-order right now?
You're
they'll
right,
push that no matter
the
what.
Ubisoft style ads that keep popping up the entire time.
Yeah, but I wonder if they're, from their perspective, it's we can create so much more time and flash that message way more often.
Before we move on, let's go quickly run through. Is Bethesda having a press conference this year?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is Square Enix having a press conference this year?
Ooh.
Their direct style video.
I liked what they did. I think they have room to improve it.
Are they doing it?
I think they've got stuff to talk about.
I think they could.
God, announce that Avengers game sometime.
Okay.
I'm going to say yeah.
Is Nintendo going to have a direct on Monday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the easiest one.
Wait, Monday or Tuesday? Because then they
do it Tuesday
went
morning.
into
You're
it,
so right.
yeah.
On Tuesday. Ubisoft, are they going to have a big old
Yes.
press conference?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going
And
strong.
then I think Devolver's already said they're doing something,
Yep.
and I think
They
Xbox
have.
has already said they're
Yep.
doing something. Cool. All right.
And Xbox probably going to be back at Microsoft, the theater Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
Who's gonna
Because
be
that worked out well.
Yeah.
the weirdest E3?
It's
They
gonna
gotta
be a
get
weird one.
they gotta get E3 to figure out the stupid bag logistics. That was dumb though.
For Xbox?
Yeah.
this is what we need to be talking about right here.
The bag logistics.
But
Fix your bag logistics, Microsoft.
But
you had to be like, you had to have like special access. You had to have like press access to like bring a bag into E3. And yet at E3, they give people the stupid giant swag bags, but Microsoft is in another building. So as soon as you leave the building, you can't bring your bag back in. And so it just creates this weird dilemma of, do I go to Microsoft today or do I wait till tomorrow because I got this bag?
What I remember, Blood, is that like a month earlier, there was some thing about like, hey, you can get into conventions without security really easily. And so they kind of overcorrected and just made sure that nobody's bringing anything into the convention hall. I think that's what that was.
Well, yeah, I mean, it used to be in the past years of E3, the security checkpoint was the actual show floor halls themselves. So you could walk anywhere inside of those buildings. That was the hallways.
With a chainsaw. You could bring in a chainsaw in and like get it revving and nobody would stop you.
Maybe.
E3? I did it.
But I mean, there was still security around. They probably would have noticed. But yeah, so you could as just a regular person walk around that convention center, and there were things specifically designed to take advantage of that. There were like external booths and things like that in the hallways to get those people involved. And last year, it was like crazy airport security, like outside of the building. Everyone had to go through metal detectors and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the same this year. It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
I'll start with a cute one. Hello, allies. I write to you 1 month away from my child's due date. Mom and I are very excited. This event, though, has me thinking about things I did not do. Has me thinking about things I did not do and things I would have done more. Gotcha. I know I'll be able to continue gaming once the baby's born. Bless you, Switch. But it'll be a long time before I have unbroken, undistracted gaming time on my hands. So I pose to you a question. If you only had a month to cram with gaming experiences, what would you fit it in? New stuff, old stuff, favorite stuff, classic stuff. Thanks, allies. Love and respect as always. Justin Runga.
Anything that doesn't have a pause button. If you're playing Souls or multiplayer.
Oh, you mean like get it out of the way now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
I really think I would assemble like a greatest hits. Like, really think about it and be like, these are the video games that mean the absolute most to me, and just spend a month revisiting them.
To me, that's so much. Like, I would go the opposite, Ben. Like, to me, it's like you're putting too much pressure on a game.
Oh, no.
And you're not great enough right now. I need to be optimizing my time. It's like, I'm
No.
worried about you.
I think you can be a lot more casual with that. Like, you just make the list, and you don't have to be like, I need to get through all of these. You just follow your heart. You know, you play.
Got you.
Like, you assemble the list, and it's not necessarily like, I need to refinish all of these games again. I need to 100% all these games. It's just like, this is why I cared about this hobby in the first place.
Yeah.
And you know, spend as much time with them as you need to remember that.
I love a good long RPG.
Yeah. You could also just do one.
But that's the
big
thing. A good long
RPG.
RPG, especially if it's turn-based, like that's perfect for after the baby's around.
Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah, but like I love giving chunks of time to an RPG.
Here's what I would worry that may happen with an RPG is when you have something. Let's say it's 80 hours.
Yeah.
You have that first weekend. You're like, man, I got 10 hours and I'm feeling good, and that confidence is helps you along, and then you get to like the final week and you're like, oh, I still have 20 hours left. Like, I don't know. I think it could work against you.
Got
you.
you.
Feel that pressure.
Got you.
To finish off that journey.
Another thing I think about is like playing like a childish game that I couldn't play as a father anymore. So it's like once you become a dad, like you can't play that anymore. You're a dad now.
You find a copy of Thrill Kill.
Yeah.
You have a spin with Thrill Kill.
Yes. Because once you're a father, no more Thrill Kill, bud. Get that out of your life. And so it's basically a bachelor party of being a father, I guess. Like you get 1 month to just like get all of those games out of the way. Jones, what do you recommend?
I always try to stay relevant. So like I would want to try to, you know, if that was like next month, I would be playing Far Cry New Dawn. I'd be playing stuff that I like had missed so far in 2019 and just like got to get ahead before.
Far Cry New Dawn is your pick
like
though?
the dark.
Like that's the most
I missed
relevant
it,
game
yeah.
you can think of?
Well, I'm trying to think of.
You'd spend your final
I've played a
moments
lot of
with
other
Far
things.
Cry New Dawn.
That'd be one of them. We have a month now. Far Cry New Dawn's not going to take me a month.
Sure.
So yeah, just caught up on things that like at the end of the year, if I like blink and it's December, like well at least I can join the GOTY discussion and bring up something kind of like I did with Odyssey. It's like I don't expect this to run away with a lot of awards, but I like having had experience with it. But that's the trick is like, do I just go full board on something like Division 2 and like have things to say about one game, or do you like split that up among 6 games and like can't talk about the ending, can't really talk about the story twists? But I did play like 4 hours of it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always try to stay current. It sucks when I hit the new year and I just think like, ooh, stuff from last year. Like, I don't know if I'm going back.
Yeah. It's a fun question. And I like that it's not like you get a month to live. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a month for now. Like, you'll be able to play games later on, but like for a while,
I was absolutely treating it like a month to live.
You kind of were like, I make a bucket list and then I just ride it out.
This is it?
Yeah, that's a question too. Look, Jones, I know you're sick of this, but I like this question. I want to make it clear. Fantasy Critic no longer a mega sponsor, but we can't stop talking about it. And I think this comes around to a genuinely interesting question. Here we go. Yeah. Good day, allies. Always a good way to start a question. I'd like to talk to you about Fantasy Critic games. I'm currently involved in 2 leagues, one with my work friends and the other with fellow allies from the community. Shout out to Easy Allies League. Great name. Shout out. I love Fantasy Critic. It makes me excited, anxious, stressed, and I love it. And the feeling will last all year. Instead of casually thinking of Call of Duty or Battlefield, which will review better, I'm wondering if Mortal Kombat 11 will review better than Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Instead of thinking if I should pick up Murdered Soul Suspect for $3 on sale, where it could be $2 in 6 months, I'm wondering if $1, $11, or $24 should be enough for Trine 4. The last Trine 3, scored 67, a bad score, but Trine 4 is returning to the art style of Trine 2, which scored 87, a great score. Will my other league members think it's worth it? Will they ignore it? What should I do? Fun fact, since Pokemon Gen 8 was revealed to be Pokemon Sword and Shield, its hype factor has exploded. It's now ranked 7th on hype factor, where before Pokemon Direct it was down in the 40s. In the end, thanks to Fantasy Critic, I've garnered a new sense of marketing intrigue. I've researched franchises that I never really knew much about, Pro Evolution Soccer and Total War, good pick, and also developed a newfound respect for reviewers after reading more and more, especially Easy Allies, who are best in the biz. I guess my question, to gain some more inside knowledge, is how much influence does one game have on another overall review score that were released close to each other? Would Horizon Zero Dawn gotten a lower OpenCritic score had it released after Breath of the Wild? Will the simplicity, color, and cozy nature of Yoshi's Crafted World be more welcomed after the harshness of Sekiro, released only weeks before? Did Ben enjoy Metro or other games more or less because of his experience with Fallout 76? Are scores ultimately affected by the games played around it? Thanks for everything you do, and good luck, Kyle, Ian, and Don, in your league. Love and respect. Always, Doug.
Can I just say that has been a comment that has been happening for months, where they're like, oh man, I bet Ben is glad to be done with Fallout 76. Like,
Were you not?
No, I was, but there's this sense that like I'm cleansing myself or something, and it's just not really accurate to
It will
how
always stick with
Jones
you?
has been getting that lately.
There's no washing that off?
I mean, like
with the Crackdown and Anthem back to back. Yeah.
no, it's not like that at all.
Oh,
Is
okay.
what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Is one, I don't approach it that way, and B, it is both my job to play video games and think about them and review them, but I'm also just playing games all the time, and
Yeah.
so like once Fallout 76 was done, I was already playing a bunch of other things. Like
Can't hurt him.
Yeah, it's not
Before
like
Fallout 76
I
was
just
done
want to
as well.
I just want to say, like, I think people kind of treat it like this ghost that is following you, that is like plaguing your mind. It's like, no, it's not like that. It's not occupying that much space in my soul.
Jones, you did play 2 little stinkers back to back.
Just Cause as well. The game I reviewed before that was
Oh
Just
my
Cause
goodness,
4. So
yeah.
I got a good streak going.
Does the game you played previously affect how you feel about another game?
Not at all.
I think it does. You really come to me and say not at all? Like, don't you think games raise standards?
Maybe about like having time to play it. You know, like sometimes I review something where like I'm like, oh man, when am I gonna wedge in the time to do this? Like
Yeah.
Anthem's like, damn, I'm not playing it until it starts, and so it's like I'm already late, and so like I felt a little rushed like to get that done. You Red Dead, had like a super tough deadline to hit, but like I can't think of. So again, it might like speak to my experience, kind of like my emotional state just going into the process, but like once the code is done and that title screen comes up, like you start from scratch every time. It's just like, oh, here's this brand new thing. I don't know, because I've never booted up a game and been like, well, this is gonna suck. Like, I didn't like Crackdown. That was probably the lowest score I've ever given a video game. But like when that title screen came up, I was like, come on, Crackdown.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like let's do it. Let's do it. Let's I want this game to blow me away.
I do think it can though. I'm not reviewing the Division 2,
right?
But I do feel like the way that I'm thinking about the Division 2 is coming off of my experience of Anthem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways I do feel like they're trying to accomplish similar things, and you cannot help to compare them.
Yeah.
I think the timing in which they're coming out.
I think it's being interesting. Like I'm curious, like how much what you think about Astral Chain is going to be somewhat informed by what you think about DMC5.
And Bayonetta 3, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Bayonetta 3 is a little further off.
I was
but yeah.
thinking about that during Devil May Cry. Is like, I think Bayonetta took the reins, right, from Devil May Cry 4. Like, Devil May Cry 4 looked dumb compared to Bayonetta.
I don't know about that. Like, I think I get why people make that comparison, and I think it's valid. But I think once you really get into the details, like, yes, they are doing a lot of things similarly, but they're also doing things so differently. I mean, even just Devil May Cry 4 being split between Nero and Dante, and Bayonetta focusing on Bayonetta, makes it feel very different to me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's no way Bayonetta 3 can match up to what Devil May Cry 5 has just done.
Devil May Cry 5 has set a high standard.
Yes, and I think it's going to hurt Bayonetta.
Yeah, but I also have a lot of faith in that team. I mean, Bayonetta was a whirlwind.
There's still
Bayonetta
people out there
2
that
was
prefer,
a whirlwind. I have
yeah.
no reason to believe that Bayonetta 3 won't be a whirlwind.
Sure.
Yeah, there's still people out there that prefer Bayonetta mechanically to DMC5. So
Who are these people? Who?
DMC5 combat is unreal good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Who said that? Oh!
Um,
But I think I mostly view it from like a technical perspective, because like with Anthem and Division, like the main thing I would focus on from like where are we at with this industry perspective is like, does it work? Like Anthem didn't work at launch. Division has issues, but works better than Anthem did. And so I think that directly ties in between those two experiences. For you to,
Yes.
if you're approaching, Division, if say Anthem did work really well and Division did not, you'd be like, come on, Division, like we're caught up. You know what I mean? Like if
also in this weird
Anthem
place.
didn't work and Destiny 2 didn't work and none of them work, then like we'd be a little more forgiving maybe like for Division if Division did not as well. But it's so like from a technical standpoint that's okay. But the example they gave with Horizon and Zelda, I actually had that. I played Horizon first when everybody was playing Zelda, and then played Zelda after. And the big takeaway for me was like, oh, I can climb everything. And then when Frozen Wilds came out and I went back, I was like, it was weird to have Aloy run up against something. But like, that's not me being like, shame on you, Horizon. It's just like, that's just my preconceived notion of what's possible in this genre. But then Horizon looks way better than Zelda does, just from a detail standpoint, from a fidelity standpoint. So
the other weird comparison with Anthem and Division 2 is they're both the game's not out yet thing.
Right.
We were playing Division 2 before even early access
Yeah.
was out officially in the US, even though the servers had been turned on because of Australia. And
is that why they came on early?
yeah.
Got it.
And then same thing with with Anthem, like the biggest complaints and the biggest problems were in the early access period before launch. So everything's gotten real weird with those kind of games, especially.
In terms of like Fantasy Critic, to me, it's hard to find a correlation though. It's hard for you to like say you're looking at potential opportunities, just like, oh, well, that game's definitely going to affect how people review that game. Shouldn't pick it up.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I do think what influences more than like the last things that you've been playing is kind of like where things are right now and what the competition is like. Like I remember Bravely Default, and not only my own review,
Yeah, dude.
but
Yes,
but
yes,
every
yes.
review
Great
it was kind of
example.
like, oh man, this is a very classically influenced RPG
Yes.
that is evoking like very particular feelings in a way that people really aren't right now, and there's kind of a hunger for this. And so I think it reviewed well because it was mostly a good game.
We call that the RPG hunger.
Yeah, but I do think depending on what's going on in the industry, it is totally going to influence how people receive it, of course. But that's way more general, I think, and is harder to predict than just X game was bad.
Yeah.
How about Y game?
I also very briefly just want to combat, like, you know, in terms of editorial integrity, the notion that, like, we're so upset about a game's quality that we're then gonna, like, you know, have angst and carry that into the, like, I'm so burnt out on 3, 6 or 5.0 games that, like, when I get Days Gone, I'm gonna give it a 10 because I just can't handle this anymore. You know, it's like, no, I'm gonna judge Days Gone and Days Gone.
You've made that very clear, yeah.
You know, so.
I just think, I believe in, like, relativity, right? Just that everything is, our minds think of everything in relation to other things. And so, like, of course, that other games will affect how we think of other games, but it's not close to predictable.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Time for bets, though. Tom Clancy's The Division 2 will be released officially Friday, March 15th. How many viewers will there be on Twitch at this point next week? Currently, 52.8K. Where are we going to be next week, Jones?
I always forget about that Tom Clancy part. I'd love to do some research on what Tom Clancy actually had to do with
In
the
the
world of
Division? Yeah.
I think he like pretty much gave his name to Ubisoft at this point, or sold his name to Ubisoft.
It feels Clancy-ish.
Yeah.
Just the world. 35K.
Okay.
Oh,
Daniel Bloodworth.
No.
34K.
No way. Dude. Ben Moore.
15K.
And I did 17,812.
Wow.
Let me lock that in.
Fighting each other.
We are. Last week's bet was about Devil May Cry 5. We bet how many heads with silver hair there would be on the back of the box. Jones, you bet 4. Damiani bet 5. Huber also bet 5. I bet 3. On the back of this box, there are 4 screenshots. 2 of them contain Nero. 1 of them has Dante. That is 3 silver heads, which is exactly the number that I bet. Yes. What
Well
do you
done.
mean? Whew.
They could have got 2 points. And they got 2 points the week
if it
before.
was, yeah, that would have been another 2. That would have been rough.
I don't think about that often. These little, possible point combos.
I
that
do.
can
I think a
happen
lot
within
about
bets. And then all of a sudden, whoa, they're caught up and now they're beating us.
Yeah, keep in mind you do still have the poison thumb as well. If you hear a bet you don't like, you can say, I'm putting the poison thumb on your bet, Kyle. I have to remind them, Jones. I have to remind them about the poison thumb. It's easy to forget about. That brings our score to Scrappy Little Pigs 5. Gorgeous Gorillas 5. Tied it up, baby. Let me tell you a little bit about patreon.com/Easy Allies. That would be a website you would go to if you were interested in supporting the Easy Allies, but also if you just want to see what we do. If you're curious about what this organization is, and organization. Yeah, you know what? We kind of are an organization. I like
No.
that.
Kind of, we are.
No.
It's the only, I think if you go through all 153 podcasts, the first time I called us an organization, though.
I refuse to acknowledge this
Okay.
organization.
If you want to see what this group of people does, go to that website. Go to patreon.com/Easy Allies. Fun tidbit that you might be interested in. If you give $5 or more a month, you get this podcast 2 days early. You get it on Wednesdays as opposed to Fridays in both audio and video form.
The last podcast had black frames on it. Sorry, YouTube did that, and I had a nutty week last week, and so I just didn't get ahead of that and render it or try to repost it. And
Tech Update is a whole different segment of this podcast.
apologies.
Okay, now
People pay good money to get this podcast early, and
Yeah.
the podcast they got early had black frames. So
it is now time
apologizing
for
that.
Tech Update with Brandon Jones. What would you like to tell us?
If you upload the same file to YouTube, it doesn't like it.
Oh, I do know
It
that.
slaps you on your wrist, but it
Yeah.
doesn't do it until the upload's done. The upload's totally finished, and they're like, "And you're finished." Bad file. Sorry, get out of here with that file.
Yeah,
I
well,
thought
I mean,
about
it's the only
that,
way
yeah.
to
So
know,
Just
but
that
yeah.
whole Rochambeau with throwing up a new file, taking out the other one. Like, I learned a lot last week. Moving forward,
And we don't, like, the black frames, we don't know. We don't know what caused
it's
it.
just like a YouTube compression issue.
Okay.
I actually haven't even seen them. I was just told they existed by other people.
You know that wizard who hates us, Kasarar? He went ahead and showed up at that little stand right after us.
You're not even surprised this time.
I'm not, like, honestly, no. And, like, he's probably stoked that we lost the pause button thing. But he bought the ability to not know how much time you've put into a game. And
just
he's
expect
gonna,
it.
He's going to toss that into his own vile game.
He's not even going to sneak up next time. He's just going to be standing behind us in line.
I think so. And, like, at least we get
And
first
who
pick.
are these patrons that are selling to this person? You know what I mean?
No, I don't judge them. I don't judge them. Like, we turned it down, right?
Right.
Okay.
We had our doubloons. We spent our doubloons, right?
I thought they copied the pause thing. We lost that.
Yeah.
Ooh. I thought it's just in both games.
No,
now,
no.
but-
Capcom came in, took Lenny's cauldron, and stole that right out of the cauldron.
I want to know
I don't think they
one
understand
thing.
the segment.
What is
From-
Konami going to steal from him?
Yeah.
What's up, Ben?
I want to know one thing from our audience.
Huh.
If you recommended the Easy Allies podcast to a friend,
Yeah.
and they sent you a text message or some form of communication that was just something along the lines of, "LOL, dude, what's Guinea's cauldron?"
Yeah.
or any bit.
Yes.
Or any segment.
Mm-hmm.
and how you responded to that.
We have a guide for that. So never mind. I was going to come up with a fake URL and then I'm going to have to do this. We do not have a guide. There's lots of dumb running jokes within Easy Allies. I realize it's hard to penetrate sometimes. To me,
Actually,
though,
I think there might be some forum post somewhere.
I'm listening to a podcast, right, for the first time, and I hear Glenny's Cauldron. I'm so in. I'm like, this is a podcast I've been waiting for. To listeners,
No.
Blood shakes his head. This is not the podcast he wants to listen to. Hey, I won the bet. I get the right and responsibility to share my Twitter handle with the world, get to promote any Easy Allies video I'd like to promote, get the final word, anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, just popped in my head, and I get to sign off with my trademark sign off. I am, of course, at Kyle Bossman. Easy Allies video I want to promote. Maybe we should promote the event. That's coming up pretty soon. And so there's an live event, Easy Allies, Mysterious Monsters Mash.
Monster Mash.
Excuse me,
Like
Mysterious Monster Mash. And you're like,
Next Saturday.
Oh, and I'm sorry, can I
Please.
just offer just a
no,
choice
this isn't
thing?
final word. We can both hop in on this.
I'm working out with Sean Clinton, aka German Efficiency, and he was like, Monsters Mash, okay. And I'm like, the song. And he's like, no. I'm like, you don't know that song. You've never heard, I say Monster Mash to you, and I was working in the just dead faced. Like, no idea what that is. I was like,
So did you play it for him?
cool, legit. I mean, I sang a couple bars, but no, I didn't I didn't go get my phone and then take him through it.
I mean,
The Monster Mash? This sounds
He
good.
could do that on his own time.
I mean, he actually
Yeah.
grew up in Germany, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just it's fine.
Are you telling
might
me they
not
don't
know.
Monster
But
Mash
it's a
in Germany?
seasonal
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? It's like Christmas carols. Even if
Right.
you didn't grow up with them, you cannot walk through a mall and not hear the whole collection every
And
year.
Monster Mash to me is very German. To me, I think it would be huge there. I don't get it. I don't get
Why
why
is that?
Hardcore German vibes.
It is to me a very structured song. It's very structured,
Well built.
very whimsical. There's a lot of fantasy to it.
Yeah, but there's that cold efficiency running through its heart.
Yes. The Monster Mash. It's just
Yeah.
we're not going all over with our bars and up and down the whole musical scale. The Monster Mash. It's just very simple. My final word, Microsoft, get your bags together, buds. Okay? Don't worry about Anaconda. Don't worry about your digital-only box. Okay? Because you have a bag problem that needs to be fixed now. Or else we're not going. You want Bloodworth to come and wait in your line for 3 hours? No! Let him bring a bag in, you fools! What do you think he's gonna bring in? A notebook to take notes during your conference? Yes! Just let him do it! Fix this mess! Tomorrow is forever all ours.
They have this set number of times that they have to keep sneezing.